This one actually gets sponsored by a lady today. I wanted to know why men aren't wifing up, women these days. So I don't know, like 9 out of 10 of my viewers on the channel are men. So I'm going to ask you guys to feedback in the comments below. I want to deal more with the legal aspects of things, to try to keep this distilled under 10 or 15 minutes or so. But I did a much longer video with DDJ, who is a family law professional. So for more of an expanded view on why men are avoiding marriage, you should check that one out. I'll put a card up on the top right of the screen. Before I talk about the legal aspects of things, the distilled version, to sort of answer this lady's question. Let me just put this down here. I should state that a lot of guys complain about the state of the sexual marketplace for them today, and these are some of the sound bites just to kind of get the ball rolling. Things like there's not a lot that women offer men today. They don't have any culinary or create like traditionally feminine skills that they've been used to seeing in their mothers or grandmothers. For example, like being able to cook a nice meal. They complain a lot about most women bring to the table children from prior marriages, relationships, and sometimes multiple fathers. The entitlement, situation is one of the things that I hear a lot of complaints from guys as well, where they see women with tons of beta orbiters around them on social media, especially places like Instagram and I think Snapchat as well, where they're they're acting in a attention-seeking manner. So they're basically posting regular pictures, sexually provocative pictures, looking for the attention and likes of other men. So those are just some kind of starting points. I'm not even going to go into that area. If you guys want to leave some comments below as far as your observations or maybe any frustrations, I anticipate this video will probably get some views actually, given the direction that it's going to go. So again, this is to answer this woman's sponsored request: why aren't men wifing up the ladies anymore? And she was asking after that, what can we do about it, sort of thing. So I'll deal with the what can we do about it for the ladies part towards the end. But the legal consequences of marriage in today's environment are so drastic that it is prohibitive for many men to even consider wifing somebody up. The problem with it is, more specifically, let me just clean these things because they're starting to fog up. The problem with it, more specifically, I think, has got more to do with the Western world versus other places like Asia, maybe Eastern Europe or Russia, for example. But if there's guys watching this from those zones, let us know in the comments what that's like for you as well. So the way family law has kind of progressed and evolved over time is it's turned into a scenario where it's very, very high risk and low reward for men. And the opposite, again, that's one of the complaints guys have too, is the sexless marriage. It's like that's partially to blame on men's shoulders, but also women. I'm not going to deal with that. But family law has actually gotten to the point realistically where it's very, very high risk for men, but low reward, and low risk, but high reward for women, especially if they want to end it. And something like 8 out of 10 marriages 8 out of 10 divorces are initiated by women, not men, in fact. And we know that about half of divorces end. So if you get into a matrimonial scenario and it doesn't even have to be marriage, it can be common law. If you live together long enough in many parts of the Western world, the state deems it a common law marriage. So they view it basically on the books as a marriage, and they'll treat it as such if you break up. So matrimonial assets, custodial arrangements for children, things like that, which actually leads me, I'm kind of going to zigzag back and forth with this a little bit, but leads me over to the other part that men complain about is, why should I get married when I see so many guys losing access to their kids, and all they end up doing is emptying out their paycheck, sending it over to their ex-wife, and then watching how badly they are getting alienated from their own children. It's called the divorce machine and divorce rape for a reason. Men are avoiding it intentionally and intelligently, and I don't know that there's a answer or a way to navigate that. And I know some guys have asked me a number of times, and I've kind of touched on this from time to time and talked about some potential solutions, but how do you fulfill that biological imperative to pass on your seed? Men are evolutionarily, designed to scatter seed, sort of thing. Women on the opposite side are evolutionary, designed to basically seek the highest provisioning, highest value male that they can lock down, sort of thing. So, there are two different dynamics. But back to the family law sort of stuff. it's so bad. It's so bad that, well, you'll get the idea when you watch the hour-and-a-half talk I did with DDJ. So if you really want the deep answer, watch that card up on the top right that I posted earlier after this video. But to sum it up, it's so bad that men, it's just not smart from any perspective for a guy to live in a way that is viewed as a matrimonial arrangement by the state. Some of the sound bites that you'll hear guys say are, why would you allow yourself to get into a scenario that allows the state to decide what happens to your assets, your monthly income, and your access to your children? Now, the other part of that as well is that family law is written in such a way that it doesn't incentivize women to behave in a fair manner or in a way that is in the best interest of the children. Family law is written in such a way, I believe anyway, in my opinion, that it's designed to allow them to optimize their hypergamous nature on the exit. And the hypergamous nature of women is basically stated as, they're always looking to secure either a lateral deal, for example, or something that's better than what they're at right now. So to give you a pretty good example of it, I was in a Starbucks a couple weeks ago working from there, and I overheard two women who were talking, and one of them said to the other, who was considering getting divorced or leaving her husband, funnily enough, she shows up in a brand new Range Rover, drops off the kids at school and or daycare, wherever they were getting distributed for the day, and meets up with her girlfriend to talk or plan her divorce. And the soundbite that came out of it that I overheard, it's utterly disgusting in my opinion, but it was something along the lines of, girl, you can take half his shit, have a good monthly income, the car, the house, and not have to put up with this dumbass too. So if that frames it or offers a little bit of insight for you, to give you a little bit of understanding, that's how some women look at this thing. And, I know there's going to be some ladies out there, not all women are like that. And that's not how my divorce ended. And I ended up paying him and blah, 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 blah. That's fine. that can happen from time to time too. But based on the dynamics of the sexual marketplace and the way men and women pair bond, women tend to get themselves into scenarios where they find beautiful women and the women end up marrying up to them, meaning they're one or two points above them when they get married. But when the exit happens, that needs to be maintained. So if she's down here, being a hairdresser and she marries him and gets up over here for a number of years, he's got to maintain that standard of living for her. She doesn't go back down to where she was. So that's the real, that's basically the end story of why men are avoiding marriage. There's a lot of guys that want to get married. I've heard a number of guys in comments messaging me in my men's community that are trying to define or find ways to satisfy the biological imperative, again, of passing on your seed, and they can't seem to find a way to do it. So they either date or engage on a limited basis. Some guys go full on MGTOW, where they'll just buy a sex doll, for example, and that satisfies their needs. But it's tough, and that's just the way that that things are. So that's kind of it. I'm gonna get a move on because I gotta run a few errands, but that's really what it boils down to at the end of the day. The damn key fob needs a new battery. It's like only been in the car for 6 months. Anyway, so that's what it boils down to really at the end of the day, is that biological imperative is difficult for men to fulfill, and women aren't doing anything about changing it. So if you were to look at it this way, when the white Europeans came to North America and they started engaging in the like all the natives, the indigenous people sort of thing, they showed up with muskets, rifles, Gatling guns, cannons, modern war-making technology, and they met a tribe of people who were, dealing with spears, knives, bows and arrows, that sort of thing. Do you think at any time the Europeans thought, well, this isn't fair, let's just change things? And that's really why things aren't going to change. Women have the advantage in the sexual marketplace, especially on the exit on divorce. And the only way things are going to improve, or men are going to be incentivized, so to answer your question, how do we fix it? The only way things are going to improve, or men will be incentivized to fix those things, is if women start doing something about it. Men have been trying for a long time. There's these MRA guys, the men's rights activists, and they've not really moved the bar that much. I mean, I don't disagree with the observations, and they've made like a good college try, but we haven't seen things change that much. I don't think anything's going to change in my lifetime anyway, or those of you that are watching right now. In fact, in my estimation, I see things getting worse. We see scenarios now where men are being pointed at and held accountable for, like, let's say you're a high income earning man and you put your wife or living girlfriend on an allowance or something like that, like you distribute a certain amount of money to her monthly. We're starting to see scenarios where men are being dealt with as financial abuse, where they're being reprimanded, if you will, for abusing their wives by putting them on a budget, which is absolutely bonkers. So, how do you change things, ladies? Well, I think it's on you now. You've done, well, not you specifically, I'm not pointing to anybody, but it's gotten to the point where I think toxic feminism has gone from being something that solved gender equality, which I understood should happen many, many years ago, decades ago, if you will, where women wanted to vote and have cars and have jobs and all that stuff and blah blah blah. Fine, they've got that, but I think every movement needs to come to an end, or it needs to reach its objective. But the problem with feminism is it's now turned into like a toxic version of it, where it's now become a supremacy movement, hell-bent on literally destroying the Western world. It's destroying the nuclear family. Men are avoiding marriage. Women are becoming more masculine. Men are becoming more feminine. We can go all the way down that path, but realistically, ladies, if you want to do something about it, it's your turn now. It's your turn to march on Capitol Hill, parliamentary buildings, policymakers, and let them know that you want to see policies change so that there's no incentive for women to divorce rape men. When you remove that incentive, then I think you're going to see men, man up, as those people like to say, and take on that burden of performance of the nuclear family. But it's been destroyed, and it's not getting any better. So I hope that answers the question and offers some insight. Check out the 90-minute interview that I did with DDJ. Again, he's a legal professional in the U.S., and he broke down intimately exactly what the problem is, and why the system is broken. Marriage law is broken, family law is broken in the Western world, and why guys are legitimately avoiding that scenario. I can't blame them. I've been married, I've gone through the divorce machine, I see exactly what it's like. I coach many men going through the divorce machine. It's probably the biggest part of what I do with the coaching platforms. I've got about 2 or 3 different coaching platforms and done hundreds of calls now. So here's a tip for you guys that might be watching it. If you're going through a divorce or you're planning your exit, make sure you're still in the matrimonial home. Book a call with me. I'll put a link up on the top right of the screen somewhere, and you can get some coaching on how to navigate that exit without losing the farm and potentially losing access to your kids. There's some things that you can do to minimize or even limit the fallout, but you're at an incredible disadvantage. I'll put it this way before I wrap up the video, and then I'll stop talking. I was never more humbled than when my lawyer told me, you do not want to go to court. If you have the penis, you're going to lose. That is a humbling thing, and that came at me at a time when I was highly regarded in my industry, my business. We were super successful, hyper growth periods, got all these awards, and then I get slapped across the face because of some legislation that knocked me down and took the wind out of my sails. It is detrimental to that point. Is devastating, and many guys don't survive it. There's a reason why the suicide rate for men exiting a divorce is 5 times higher than women. So I'll leave it at that. Check out the card at the top right. You need coaching. I've already left that up there. And there's also a men's community. It's not for wimps. I know that I get some guys that want to join, and they're looking for magic bullets or magic wands to solve their problems. I love it when guys double park right in front.
All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here, where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the Courses tab. Newer to the channel? Hit subscribe.